Sri Lanka İhracat Kalkınma Kurulu Başkanı Sayın Parabah Hasat Subhasinga, DEİK Başkanı Sayın Nail Olpak, Türkiye Cumhuriyeti Kolombo Büyükelçimiz Sayın Demet Şekercioğlu, Sri Lanka Cumhuriyeti Ankara Büyükelçisi Sayın Rızvi Hasan, Türkiye ve Sri Lanka'dan bugünkü programımıza katılan değerli katılımcılar, hepiniz hoş geldiniz. Ben Beşir Oğur, DEİK Sri Lanka İş Konseyi Başkanıyım. Uzun yıllardan beri Sri Lanka ile ticaret yapıyorum. 35 yıla yakın bir çalışma hayatımız vardır Sri Lanka'da. 21 yüzyıl Asya Pasifik bölgesindeki ülkelerin küresel ekonomi içindeki rolünü artırmaya devam ettiği bir Asya yüzyılı olarak adlandırılmaktadır. Yaklaşık 21 milyon nüfusa sahip Sri Lanka son yıllarda istikrarlı büyüyen ekonomisiyle dikkat çekmektedir. Türkiye ve Sri Lanka son yıllarda ikili ilişkilerin sadece ticaret ve ekonomi alanında değil, çok boyutlu olarak da geliştirilmektedir. DEİK Türkiye Sri Lanka İş Konseyi olarak ticaret hacmimiz en kısa sürede 500 milyon dolar çıkarmaya hedefiyle ilgili çalışmalarımızı sürdürüyoruz. 2019 yılında yaşanan ve bizleri çok derinden etkileyen vahim terör saldırısı nedeniyle DEİK olarak Sri Lanka programını iptal etmek durumunda kalmıştık. Daha sonra da pandemi süreci başladı ve devam edemedik. Devam etmektedir. Pandemi süreci bitince inşallah bir araya geleceğiz. Fakat bu süreçte online olarak faaliyetlerimizi yapacağız. Yürütme kurulu toplantılarımızı diplomatlarımızla, büyükelçilerimiz eşliğinde gerçekleştireceğiz. Bugün olduğu gibi seminer etkinliklerimize ve karşılıklı birbirlerimi belirlenmiş ve potansiyeli bulunan sektörlerde iş insanlarının bir araya gelmesini sağlıyoruz. Türkiye'deki farklı ticaret odaları ve kurucu kuruluşlarımızla Sri Lankalı dostlarımızı bir araya getiriyoruz. Türkiye yatırımcıları doğru kişilere ulaştırmak için çalışıyoruz. Başarılı bir toplantı olmasını diliyorum. Ben müsaade ederseniz sözü Sri Lanka İhracat Kalkınma Kurulu Başkanı Sayın Parabah Hasat Subhasinga'ya veriyorum. Buyurun Hasan Bey.
Thank you. Good morning and good afternoon, Mr. Uguru, Chairperson, Your Excellencies, Ambassador of Sri Lanka, Ambassador of Turkey, and to the distinguished panel that's here. Just to quickly introduce the Export Development Board, it's the lead export agency that supports and develops the export sector of Sri Lanka. The export sector is considered a national priority in Sri Lanka, and even though we've gone through a long lockdown in the middle of this year, the export sector has been functioning. We've considered exports to be an essential service, and it is a national priority of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka exports almost $16 billion of product out of Sri Lanka in 2019. We've seen a slight contraction this year, but in the last 3 months, as we've been coming out of the lockdown in Sri Lanka, we've been exporting almost at the same levels of the previous year. So we are quite excited about what's happening in our export sector. We have a very strong export community. We have some large sectors in terms of apparel, in terms of tea, rubber, coconut, electronics, the ICT field, etc., which are all important sectors in our export sector. Turkey is a very close friend to Sri Lanka. We have a historical ties and multiple years and decades of business and long historical relationship. We value our business with Turkey. We have almost $180 million of trade between the two countries, and we would like to explore opportunities to do more than that. So in the most recent budget of Sri Lanka that was announced yesterday, the budget is pro-trade, pro-investment, and pro-exports for Sri Lanka. There's been a lot of concessions offered for investment. I'm sure my colleague from the Board of Investment will talk about it shortly. And there's been a lot of concessions for exporters, especially in the agriculture and related fields. So we are quite excited that the budget also, which was just released yesterday, is supporting this sector. And we want to build a much stronger relationship than this $200 million of trade between our two countries. And of course, as I'm the chairperson of the Export Development Board of Sri Lanka, I want to have more access to the Turkish market. We are concerned about some of the duties that have been applied, and I know my ambassador is working with the Turkish authorities to try to find resolutions for that, so we have easier market access into Turkey. Without further ado, let me conclude by saying I wish all the participants incredible success. I think the new norm is here. The way forward is by organizing meetings like this. I want to thank the DEİK organization and our embassy in Turkey for taking the lead in organizing this. And I hope this session will be powerful and useful for all the participants from both sides in Turkey and in Sri Lanka. And I hope we will build trade. Sri Lanka is certainly open for trade, and we are ready to support. And if any one of you have any questions or others, please do contact the Export Development Agency, and we would be ready to work with you. Thank you very much, and have a great morning and afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Çok teşekkür ederim başkan. Ben Sayın Başkanım, müsaitseniz ben sözü DEİK Başkanı Sayın Nail Olpak Başkanımıza vermek istiyorum. Buyurun Sayın Başkanım.
Çok teşekkür ederim Beşir Bey. Çok değerli büyükelçilerimiz Sayın Demet Şekercioğlu ve Sayın Rizi Hasım, Sri Lanka İhracat Kalkınma Kurulu'nun değerli başkanı Riba Subasinghe ve her iki ülkemizin iş dünyasının çok değerli temsilcileri. Ben de herkese saat farkı sebebiyle hem günaydın hem de iyi günler diyerek başlıyor ve sağlıklı günler temennisinde de bulunuyorum. Hint Okyanusu'nun incisi bir ülkeyle şu anda toplantımızı sürdürüyoruz. Ben izninizle ticari rakam ve benzeri konulara girmeyeceğim. Zaten yeterince konuşulacaktır. Bazı kavramlar üzerinden ilerlemek istiyorum ki 146 İş Konseyimizin bu pandemi süresince yapmış olduğu programlarda bu kavramlara da özellikle vurgu yapmaya gayret ettim. Çünkü her şeyin değiştiğini konuştuğumuz dünyada Covid pandemisi de bazı kavramların daha fazla hayatımızda değişmesine yol açtı. Bunlardan birisi bugün olduğu gibi eskiden fiziki yaptığımız toplantıları şartlar zorladığı için dijital olarak yapmamız, ama bunun hayatımıza bir miktarda kolaylık getirdiğini de hatırlayalım. Demek ki dijital teknolojiler ve yapay zeka hayatımıza düşündüğümüzden çok daha fazla hızlı bir şekilde girebilirmiş. Bir başka kavram globalleşme ve glokalleşme, yerelleşme kavramlarının çok daha önemli olduğunu düşünüyorum. Çünkü biz bu süreçlerin içerisinde evet yerelleşmeyi konuşuyorduk ama bu konuşma bir ticari tercih noktasında daha fazla gündeme geliyordu. Sadece ticari tercih olarak değil, onun ilerisinde bir gereklilik olarak da daha fazla yerelleşmenin de bütün dünya üzerinde gündemde olduğunu zannederim hepimiz farkındayız. Ölçek ekonomisi kavramını çok konuşurduk. Yani bir hizmeti ya da ürünü ne kadar fazla adet bazında siz piyasaya arz edebiliyorsanız rekabetçiliğinizin maliyetleriniz düşeceği için o kadar iyi olduğunu hep tartıştık. Ama geldiğimiz noktada bunun tek başına yeterli olmadığını, tek bir kaynağa ya da sınırlı kaynağa bağlı kalmanın hayatımızda başka riskler oluşturduğunu gördük ve ulaşılabilirlik diye yeni bir kavram ortaya çıktı. Tedarik zincirini biz iş dünyasında bu kavramı konuşurduk ama tedarik zincirinin bu kadar önemli olduğunu zannederim pandemi bize çok net bir şekilde ifade etti. Ve son kavramım da güven kelimesi. Çünkü bu dönemde çok konuşulan şeylerden birisi dönemin kazananları kim olacak? Dönemin kazananları tedarik zincirini kopartmadan ayakta kalanlar ve muhataplarına güven duygusunu çok daha iyi verebilenler olacaktır diyorum. Evet, iki ülkenin ticari rakamlarını biraz önce değerli başkan ifade ettiler. Biz bu rakamın az olduğunu düşünürken izninizle biraz esprili bir yorumda da bulunmak istiyorum. İki şekilde değerlendirebiliriz. Ya rakamımız çok az, bakın hepimiz uğraşıyoruz ama bir yere gidemiyoruz gibi kötümser bir yaklaşımda da görebiliriz. Ya rakam işin henüz başında, önümüzde gidebilecek çok daha fazla bir alan var diye de değerlendirebiliriz. Ben ikinci noktadan değerlendirmenin doğru olacağını düşünüyorum. Eğer biz burada iş dünyasının temsilcileri olarak birlikteysek, büyükelçilerimiz buradaysa, ticaret müşavirimiz noktasında eksiğimiz var. Zannederim oradaki yükü de bizim açımızdan da Sayın Büyükelçimiz taşıyor. Kendilerine de çok teşekkür ediyorum. Berabersek bunları gerçekleştirmek bizim açımızdan herhalde iyi hedefler arasında olacaktır diye düşünüyorum. Biraz önceki kavramlar açısından bakıldığında da hem Türkiye hem Sri Lanka açısından pazar çeşitliliğini hem ihracat noktasında hem de ithalat noktasındaki pazar çeşitliliğinin bizler açısından kritik olduğunu ben bir defa daha vurgulamak istiyorum. Zannederim iş dünyası olarak bize düşen konulardan bir tanesi de bu. Fırsatlar var elbette. Biz bu noktada sadece ürünlerin ticaretini konuşmuyoruz ama işin yatırımlar ve müteahhitlik kısımları da var. Türkiye'nin bu konudaki tecrübelerini Sri Lankalı dostlarımızla hem paylaşmak hem de fiili uygulayarak paylaşmanın önemli olduğu kanaati içerisindeyim. İnşallah gerekirse pandemi şartları içerisinde bir KEK toplantısı gündeme gelebilirse bunları tekrar değerlendiririz diye düşünüyorum. Bunu da şunun için söyledim. Artık JETCO toplantılarını da bakanlarımızla birlikte biz dijital ortamlarda yapmaya başladık. Demek ki KEK toplantıları da gündeme gelebilir. Ben sözlerimi bir Sri Lanka atasözüyle tamamlamak istiyorum. Dostlarımız dişin sağlamken fındık ye diye anlamlı bir ifade kullanmışlar. Demek ki ilişkileri o dönemlerin içerisinde iyi oluşturmamız lazım. Biz şartlar ne olursa olsun dostluğumuzla birlikte ekonomik ilişkilerimizi de geliştirmek için birlikte olduğumuzu düşünüyor. Ben programımıza katılan başta Sayın Büyükelçilerimiz olmak üzere herkese teşekkür ediyor, saygılar sunuyorum.
Çok teşekkür ederim Sayın Dair Başkanım. Sayın Büyükelçim, Türkiye Cumhuriyeti Kolombo Büyükelçimi Sayın Demet Şekercioğlu hanımefendiye söz vermek istiyorum. Buyurun Sayın Büyükelçim.
Çok teşekkür ederim Beşir Bey. Sayın Subasinghe, Sayın Başkan Nail Olpak, değerli meslektaşım Hasan Rizvi ve değerli iş insanları, değerli katılımcılar, her şeyden önce bu etkinliği düzenleyen tüm taraflara çok teşekkür ediyorum bu girişimleri için. Sayın Olpak'ın ifade ettiği bir noktadan yürümek istiyorum. Yolun başındayız dediler. Hakikaten de içinde bulunduğumuz durumu öyle değerlendirebiliriz. Zira geçtiğimiz yıl Kasım ayında yapılan Cumhurbaşkanlığı seçimlerinden sonra tam bir yıl önce geçtiğimiz yıl bugün yeni Cumhurbaşkanı Gotabaya Rajapaksa göreve başladı. Daha sonra bu yıl içinde Ağustos ayında milletvekili seçimleri yapıldı ve yeni bir hükümet kuruldu. Önümüzde yepyeni bir imkan var esasen. Cumhurbaşkanının vizyonu da ülkesini çok daha gelişmiş, daha kalkınmış bir ülke haline hızlı bir şekilde getirebilmek. Şimdi Sri Lanka'nın maalesef geçmiş dönemlerden kalan bir takım sorunları var. 2019 yılı sonu itibariyle büyüme 2.2'ye düşmüştü. Sayın Beşir de ifade ettiler. Geçen seneki terör saldırılarından sonra turizm sektörü yara almıştı. Bunu toparlamaya çalışırken maalesef Covid salgını bu defa baş gösterdi. Dolayısıyla ülkenin ticaret girdileri de sıfırlandı. Fakat olumlu bir gelişme olarak dün itibariyle ülkenin yeni bir bütçesi var. Bütçe görüşmeleri yapıldı. Ve yeni Cumhurbaşkanı'nın güçlü hükümetiyle birlikte mecliste de keza 3'te 2'lik bir çoğunluğa sahipler. Bu da Cumhurbaşkanı'nın vizyonunu hızlı bir şekilde hayata geçirebilmek için muazzam bir imkan sunuyor ülkeye. Dolayısıyla Cumhurbaşkanı'nın hem ihracat ürünlerini çeşitlendirme, hem ihracat pazarlarını çeşitlendirme, hem de ülkeye doğrudan yatırımlar çekilebilmesi için ülke içinde gerekli altyapının hazırlanmasına muazzam bir imkan sağlıyor. Tabiatıyla küresel ekonominin durumu, yabancı doğrudan yatırımların çekilebilmesine ne ölçüde izin verecek, pazarların geliştirilmesine ne ölçüde izin verebilecek, bunlar ayrı hususlar ama ülke içinde muazzam bir nasıl diyelim bir hareketlenme var diyebiliriz ve Sri Lanka esas itibariyle Türkiye'yi de bu açıdan önemli bir partner olarak değerlendiriyor. Dolayısıyla daha önceki görüşmelerimizde DEİK toplantılarında da ifade etmiştim. Bu çerçevede Türkiye'ye de büyük fırsatlar sunacak ülke. Altyapı çalışmaları, yeni altyapı projeleri, gıda güvenliğinin daha da güçlendirilmesi için tarım alanının güçlendirilmesi, küçük ve orta ölçekli şirketlere verilen destek, keza turizm sektörünün, kırsal kesimin, balıkçılık ve çevrenin güçlendirilmesi konusunda atacağı bütün adımlarda aslında Türkiye'nin bilgi birikimine sahip olduğunu ve bu konularda Sri Lanka'ya muazzam bir destek verebileceğimizi düşünüyorum. Biz burada olacağız. Değerli meslektaşım Ankara'da çok etkili bir şekilde çalışıyor. Ben bunu da biliyorum. Ben de elimden gelen her şeyi yapıyorum. Yapmaya da devam edeceğim. Sizlerin de destekleriyle inşallah. Ben de sözü daha fazla uzatmadan değerli meslektaşım Hasan Rizvi'ye devretmek istiyorum. Söylediklerime ekleyeceklerim olacaktır mutlaka. Teşekkür ederim.
Çok teşekkür ederim Sayın Büyükelçim. Ben sözü Sri Lanka Büyükelçimize Sayın Hasan Bey'e vermek istiyorum. Buyurun Sayın Büyükelçim Hasan Bey. Kesildi mi ses?
Your microphone is mute, sir.
Ha? Ses geliyor mu?
Thank you, Bashir. Ambassador Demet.
Buyurun Sayın.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Evet,
yeah, Ambassador Demet, Chairman EDB, Mr. Prabhas Subhasingh, good afternoon. Mr. Nail Olpak and Bashir, good morning. First of all, I must thank you, DEİK, EDB, Mr. Bashir Ugur, taking our suggestion to have, all the stakeholders together. I think this is the first time in our mission history to have, all the stakeholders in Sri Lanka, main stakeholders, EDB, Sri Lanka Tourism, BOI, and the Trade Ministry here with 2 ambassadors, and to have this forum together with 175 participants, I was told, is joining today. Thank you very much to everybody. And I see the quite big interest you all have. And as Chairman says, we have huge, partnership with Turkey, and it's historical. And once again, I thank you everybody joining with us. As my, the EDB, our EDB chairman said, the potentials within Sri Lanka and Turkey huge, enormous. We have focused on some sectors, but we can open up huge other markets. And Sri Lanka need, Turkish market to be expanded. When you see the trade figures between Turkey and Sri Lanka, I don't want to go to figures. It's quite depressing. And as ambassador of Sri Lanka to Turkey, when you see when Turkey has trade relation with other countries, we are at very minute. And during my meeting with President has indicated we have to take this trade volume to at least 1 billion next 2 years. But it's quite difficult challenge. But with the difficult challenge with these difficult conditions, pandemic, terrorist bomb attack in 2000, as Bashir said. So we will take from these sessions to way forward to introduce more Sri Lankan product, tourism aspect to Turkish markets, and also this two-way run. Turkish Turkish exporters, Turkish tourist sector can introduce to Sri Lanka. This is what we are here. And as a mission, we are trying hard to work with two ministries, foreign ministries, to sign very interesting, very important trade agreement, like avoidance of double taxation, prevention of prevention of promotion and prevention, investment promotion, and custom cooperation. Those are, those three agreements are with Sri Lanka and about to put forward to the cabinet. We have to finish this, complete this, conclude this and sign the agreement within next 3 months. And also we are looking forward to have this JETCO virtually, as Mr. Nail Opak said. We are trying to have this JETCO virtually this year, but we are waiting Sri Lankan side response, and the DG Department of Commerce working hard to have this in December. Hopefully, with these instruments and our effort on JETCO will give confidence to the private sector. And also I have seen the difficulties we face. We understand the global situation due to the pandemic and the world countries face. And I have take issues of Sri Lankan exporters currently facing with these temporary measures. I have personally taken these issues with the political and bureaucratic authorities in Turkey. I hope these measures will ease down soon and allow more market share in Turkey, as Chairman EDB said. And also I'm trying hard to increase trade and tourism and social contact between people of two countries. If people of two countries, frequently getting together, it will increase the understanding among the cultures and friendship, and also the business understanding, way of doing business. It will in long term, it will increase the investment. It will promote, investment. So these are my ambition to, as ambassador, as a bureaucrat representing Sri Lanka, to have it in Turkey. So without taking time, I'd like to thank you, all the stakeholders participating today and also who are listening today. So we are there. We will help you anytime and to increase, two-way trade and benefit to peoples of two countries and business community. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Teşekkür ederim Sayın Büyükelçim. İzin verirseniz şu anda konuşmayı Bayan Anoma Paromati-Heilaka Sri Lanka Diş Ticaret Geliştirme Kurulu Direktörüne vermek istiyorum.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. I'm going to Good day to all of you, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to make a presentation on trade opportunities between Sri Lanka and Turkey. So I'm going to share my presentation. Give me a minute to share. Hope you all can see my presentation. Okay, my presentation is on trade opportunities between Sri Lanka and Turkey. It will have four main parts, taking on with what Chairman EDB mentioned. I will briefly touch upon Sri Lanka's export scenario, Turkey-Sri Lanka trade relationship, and potential products of Sri Lanka, strengths and opportunities. And also I will briefly touch upon what EDB can do for you all, and play a small video on export strategy of EDB. First slide is about our exports during last 10 years. You can see it has grown from 7 billion US to 12 billion US, and imports grew from 9 billion to almost 19.5 billion during the past 10 years. And when we look at our export markets, export markets are from the West, United States, UK, India, Germany, Italy, and so on. Those are the main 10 export markets, but our suppliers are from eastern side, China, India, UAE, Malaysia, Japan, and so on. So as a export market, Turkey is our 12th export market, but from supply side, it is our 29th supplier. When we look at our export products, that is the goods, in 2019, almost 47% of Sri Lanka's exports is comprised of apparel. Second is tea and rubber, coconut-based products, gem and jewelry, electronic sectors, spices, food and beverage, so on. And not only the export of goods, export services is increasing, and you can see from this chart, in 2001, services sector is about 23% of Sri Lanka's export total, when we consider merchandise exports and services. But in 2019, services sector contributed to 38.5%. So we are more and more export services are coming into play. The main export services are ICT, BPM, construction services, logistic, financial services, education, and so on. So when we talk about the trade between Sri Lanka and Turkey, as mentioned before, our total trade is around 200. 2018 it was 220. That year, Turkey has a positive trade balance. All other years it is in Sri Lanka's favor, but we have to work together to increase this amount, as all the speakers mentioned about before. And when we talk about the main export and import products between the two countries, Sri Lanka has exported mainly black tea, activated carbon, some apparel products, gems and jewelry, and some electrical items. And we have imported from Turkey mostly fabric-related products, iron and steel products, some toys, telephones, and so on. So we have done some small survey and identified that potential export products to Turkey from Sri Lanka. According to this statistical analysis, black tea, coconut-related products, activated carbon, rubber-related products, spices, and processed food comes as top potential products. I will now take you through some of the plus points of Sri Lanka's export products, especially what we have selected for this webinar. I think you all know Ceylon tea, cleanest tea in the world with minimum residue levels, and we strictly adhere to the quality standards, and we own the ozone-friendly logo for Sri Lanka's exports. When we talk about the subsectors of Ceylon tea, that's green tea, flavored tea, wellness and healthy kind of teas, tea with herbs, ready to drink tea. So a lot of varieties are there for Turkey to consider. And then next is the coconut related products. We are the number, when we talk about the coconut related products, it can be coconut kernel products and non-kernel products. That is the finer fiber related products. We are a global #1 exporter for brown fiber and desiccated coconut with very distinguished white color, texture and taste, which are unique to Sri Lanka, and also coconut cream and milk powder. Those are some of the things we can highlight. Other than that, we would like to talk about the activated carbon, which is already exporting to Turkey in a big way. So it is a byproduct of a coconut shell and used for a lot of industrial applications. Then we would like to talk about the rubber products. We are main player in solid tire exports, and we are manufacturing a very high. We have a very high quality rubber here in Sri Lanka, and we are supplying a lot of tires for many big brands in the global market. So main subsectors of this sector is pneumatic and solid tires, rubber auto parts, biomaterials, and gloves like mattresses and pillows, personal protective equipment like gloves. So those are some of the subsectors in this main rubber product sector. And processed food is another important sector which we would like to promote in Turkey. I heard that a lot of interest is there in this webinar as well. We have a very good processed food sector in Sri Lanka, comply with all the required international standards. And subsectors we can consider processed fruit and vegetable, rice and cereals, confectionery and bakery products, frozen food, alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. Fishery sector also we can consider as one of the processed food sector. So spices is another interesting sector for us to promote. We have already got the GI certification for cinnamon of Sri Lanka. We have registered that pure Ceylon cinnamon certification mark was registered already in USA and EU. So we, other than the spices, we are having the value added component also, like essential oil, pepper, cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg. Those are the main spices from Sri Lanka. And we want to highlight also the ceramic and porcelain sector, which we think we can have a good potential in the Turkey market. We have very high-skilled workforce for this sector, and with good high-quality technology, compliance to international trade are some of the plus points we have in this ceramic and porcelain sector. And subsectors are ceramic, porcelain, tableware, ornaments, sanitary ware, flow ties and wall ties, and also industrial ceramic applications. So out of these merchandise exports, I would like to mention this construction service because services sector we want to promote more and more. And last year, construction sector contributed to the GDP as $2 billion last year. So there are a lot of professional services in this construction services like architecture, green construction, project management, quantity surveys. A lot of subsectors are included here, and our exporters would like to go out and get the projects under these in different countries. So as a way forward, we could mention that we can promote these potential products into the country. This kind of webinars and B2Bs are very important. And also not only trade, as mentioned earlier, investment and joint ventures are also some of the tools we can use to increase our bilateral trade. So as our chairman mentioned, EDB is ready to work with all the stakeholders to increase bilateral trade. Please do contact EDB. We have very good relations with all our stakeholders in Sri Lanka. We can have meetings, we can find partners for you. So please do contact EDB. With that, I will end my presentation, but I would like to have a short video on our export strategy. We have developed in 2005-year export strategy, developed into 2018, goes up to 2022. So it's a very small video.
Positioned at the crossroads of east-west trading routes, Sri Lanka is an economy in transition. A largely rural, agriculture-based economy in the past, with a skilled and expanding workforce, the country is now transforming itself to become a more advanced, knowledge-based economy. In 2016, the export sector consisted mainly of apparel, travel services, transport services, tea, spices, and rubber, with export of services being a key driver of economic growth. Growing steadily since 2010, Sri Lanka outperforms regional competitors in key industries, especially in services. With access to over 2 billion consumers through bilateral free trade agreements with India, Pakistan, and Singapore, and trade concessions being granted through the European Union GSP Plus and the US GSP, the country has ambitions to project itself as a prominent trade hub in South Asia and the Indian Ocean region, much like Singapore and Dubai in their respective regions. With its big aspirations, Sri Lanka has launched itself as a vital economic player in the region. While simultaneously building on the strength of traditional sectors, the country is diversifying its exports to increase competitiveness and resilience in global markets. Sri Lanka hopes to increase export revenue to $28 billion by 2022. The NES envisions Sri Lanka as an export hub driven by innovation and investment. Its main objectives are to create business-friendly, predictable, and transparent policy and regulatory frameworks that support exports, to strengthen the market entry and compliance capacities of exporters, to become an efficient trade and logistics hub to facilitate exports, and to drive export diversification through innovation and the strengthening of emerging sectors. To create an enabling business environment for enterprises, the NES has focused on enhancing the country's performance in logistics, trade information and promotion, national quality infrastructure, and innovation and entrepreneurship. The NES is navigating the island nation to its rightful place in the Indian Ocean as an innovative, sophisticated, and dynamic trade hub, serving Asia and beyond.
So thank you very much. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you for the attention and this opportunity.
Bayan Anoma'ya çok teşekkür ederiz. Sözü Bay Prasanjati Vijayahilakaya ve Sri Lanka Yatırım Kulübü Direktörüne vermek istiyorum. Buyurun beyefendi.
Good day, everyone. Good morning to everyone over there in Turkey. Good afternoon to fellow stakeholders here in Colombo. Can everyone hear me clearly? Can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes, yes.
Yes, we do.
Just give me just a moment while I share my screen. So I will be presenting the investment opportunities in Sri Lanka. And I would like to touch on a number of focus sectors. But first, let me give you a quick snapshot of the Sri Lankan economy and the potential that we present to a prospective investor. So if you see here, what we are trying to say on this slide is the fact that Sri Lanka is home to a number of foreign investors, a significant number. And we are one of the mature states, if you consider this region, the South Asian region, in terms of hosting and facilitating FDI. If you take the Board of Investment, which I represent, we count 4 decades plus in existence. And if you take the most recent past, we've attracted almost $7 billion in FDI. And this injection of FDI into the Sri Lankan economy has resulted in some of the accolades that you see, or the achievements, the economic achievements that you see on the right-hand side of the screen. So we have 4 of the world's top 10 global hotel chains, 3 of the top 10 construction companies in the world, 7 of the 2020 Fortune 500, 3 of Asia Pacific's 20 largest telcos, 1 of the top 10 global software giants, and the world's #1 tire manufacturer. All of these call Sri Lanka home in terms of investment. So one of the key reasons to attract foreign investment into Sri Lanka is the talent and the education, which basically is, as I said, it's a key factor, a key selling point, if I may say, for the Sri Lankan investment proposition. So if you, once again, if you just take a look at the facts on the screen, we have a very robust education system, which is supported by both state and private sector opportunities for graduates. We also have a very robust back end for creating what we call vocational training opportunities. So creating skilled workers, not just academics, but also skilled workers. And you will see, if you just take the numbers, and if you look at the achievements again, we're #1 in South Asia when it comes to literacy. We're the 2nd for compulsory secondary education. Public secondary and higher education is free to all citizens. And of course, English is widely spoken. It's the accepted language of business in the country. You will also see there's a number of graduates, over 100,000 TVEC trained students annually. We also have 30,000+ graduates annually in other disciplines. And we also, outside of the UK, we hold the 2nd largest pool of UK qualified accountants. So this gives you an idea of what the talent pool that you access when you invest in Sri Lanka. And this is actually one of the key reasons why we have investors coming into Sri Lanka. In terms of ease of doing business, we've identified again some of the key matrices that are more attractive to a foreign investor or for someone who's moving out of their comfort zone. So you will see we're ranked 2nd in terms of starting a business. We're 2nd in terms of the quality of infrastructure. We're 2nd for protecting minority interests in South Asia. They're the 1st when it comes to business health. And we've received a B grade from most of the credit rating agencies globally. We've ratified all the 8 major co-conventions of the ILO, including, and 41 in total. And we have signed bilateral investment protection agreements with 28 countries. So we are a very investment friendly, we are a pro-investor economy. And this makes us quite competitive, especially in a very competitive region. So as I mentioned before, you have that mix of skilled labor and you also have very competitive cost bases. So in terms of competitiveness, you will see again, we're ranked second in South Asia in global competitiveness. We're the first in South Asia for human capital. We're second for the Global Innovation Index in South Asia. And we also have the lowest power cost in South Asia. And this is not me saying it, this is a JETRO, this is an independent survey done by JETRO. You will also see on the right-hand side of the screen, a snapshot of labor cost comparisons across countries in the region, as well as countries where Sri Lanka is ranked in terms of competing for investment. And there again, you will see that Sri Lanka not only shows a relatively lower growth rate, but it also shows a very competitive cost base. Chairman EDB touched on this factor during his speech, where he mentioned the state of economic recovery. We have represented this on screen just to show you the resilience of the Sri Lankan economy and the agility of the Sri Lankan economic machine to react to and recover from this global pandemic situation. So you will see there's been a sharp dip in the second quarter of the first and second quarters, but you will see.
Excuse me, Prasanjit, your slide is not moving. You know, I don't know whether you follow the your.
It's showing slide 6 on my where it's showing the state of economic recovery. Is that clear to you?
No. I think it has not moved. I think I have seen some questions on slide. You know, they say we cannot see the presentation. Slide is not. Even I can't see the.
Which slide are you seeing now?
No, still that first slide. First slide, and you know it's stuck. You know.
Okay, hold on. Are you not seeing any changes to the slides on screen?
No.
You should press the slide presentation mode, gentlemen.
One moment, please.
Şu anda birinci slaytta ilerlemedi yani. Oldu ilk açılan slaytta duruyor.
Yes.
Do you see? Okay, is it different now?
Yeah, now we started. You know, it says why Sri Lanka talent education. Okay. Now it's moving. Yeah.
Do you see why Sri Lanka now?
Why Sri Lanka? Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So my apologies. What I covered. So here we are talking about the kind of entities we have here in Sri Lanka, and basically the economic background and the potential in business environment that has been recognized by a number of leading entities across a number of sectors. And as I mentioned, we are a mature IPA, especially in the South Asian region, counting 40 plus years in existence. Which is, the key challenge. The skilled work, when you enter the Sri Lankan skilled workforce, both in terms of tertiary education, in terms of vocational training, in terms of higher education, graduates, and also in terms of basics like spoken language and literacy. So what you avail yourself of is a very, very smart talent pool that is very easily trainable and easy to work with. I'm just going to pause to clarify that everybody is with me on the same slides. And so this gives you an idea of Sri Lanka's competitiveness in terms of business environment, in terms of business basics like starting a business, protecting minority interests, the fact that ILO conventions are ratified, the access to bilateral investment protection agreements, and of course, our credit ratings. This slide will give you an idea of competitiveness and productivity. Here again, a number of accolades in terms of human capital, in terms of global innovation, cost of power, competitiveness in the region, and then the table on the right gives you a quick snapshot of the wage costs compared with not only the region, but also some of the countries that we compete with for FDI. So it's very, very competitively, because what you need to consider is not only the absolute cost base here, but also the fact that Sri Lanka has a very strong reputation for ethical manufacturing, which means that the conditions under which our factories operate and our average laborer is exposed to are very favorable. They're good conditions. Now, I think this was the slide where I left off previously. So this gives you an idea of the state of economic recovery that Chairman EDB was referring to. And this gives you the numbers. So there's a reason why we've kept this here and why we've introduced this slide to our standard deck. And that reason is to show you both the resilience and the agility of the economy and the players in the economy, the key players in the economy. And these are the manufacturers, the exporters, who have really rallied and been resilient and brought the numbers back home where they have to be. Now, I won't touch so much on market access because the EDB video covered the FTAs and the access to larger markets. So the only message I want to leave you from here is, don't think of just the 20 million people in Sri Lanka. Look at the access to almost 2 billion people worldwide through Sri Lanka's favorable geopolitical relations, as well as its strategic location. That's the key message I want you to take away from here. And the quality of life. Anybody who has been to Sri Lanka will testify to this. Sri Lanka is one of the most pleasant and desirable places to live and work. You will see again a number of accolades in terms of human development. We are considered the most peaceful country in Asia. We are number one in terms of quality of life. We are number one in terms of healthcare. So a very comfortable place to live and work, where even if you're looking at relocating your family while you work, it's still one of the best options in this part of the world. In terms of infrastructure, you will see the international seaports, the airports. Successive governments have kept investing in infrastructure in Sri Lanka. And this has paved the way, or this investment in infrastructure has become the enabler to the economic promise that Sri Lanka has to provide now. So, and of course, there's mention of the export processing zones that are under the aegis of the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka. You will see in terms of connectivity, both sea and air. I mentioned that Sri Lanka has a very strategic location, and the information on the screen here is what backs that statement up. So we have over 30 major shipping lines calling at the port, where Colombo Port is one of the top 25 in the world consistently, over 75% transshipment volumes, the highest liner connectivity index growth for last year. We are the first in Asia, in fact, to cater to the latest EEE class or deep sea vessels. And we have a new port terminal under development, which will further boost capacity. In terms of air transportation, you will see very strong, obvious connectivity to the Indian subcontinent, which is the largest performing economy in the region. Over 300,000 metric tons of cargo capacity. Annual passenger capacity, well, this is a projected value that is modeled on a number of variables post-pandemic, where we see some kind of return to normalcy in terms of international air travel and capacity. We want to be ready with capacity for up to 20 million passengers annually by 2025. So all in all, I think this underscores the fact that Sri Lanka is most certainly a strategic location, And that is, again, something that can be leveraged for a savvy investor, by a savvy investor. So based on this, we have taken the time to come up with some economic priorities. And through these economic priorities, we have identified some focus sectors. So the focus ICT, hospitality and tourism, agriculture and food processing. So basically, I will go into these sectors in detail. And what we will do is, first of all, I will also introduce to each of these sectors some of the benefits that have been shared during post-budget for 2021, which will also no doubt be of interest to some of those who are really interested in the investment potential for these sectors. So you will see, first up is a pharmaceutical zone in the southern part of the country, which is to be developed in 2 phases of 200 acres each. So other than for the main criteria of investment, which is obviously bringing in FDI and creating employment opportunities, the key focus here is to manage Sri Lanka's dependence on imports from the pharmaceutical side to increase the domestic supply, and while catering to the domestic demand, to also develop an independent export vertical, let's say 5 years down the line, where you will not only look at the local market, which is significant in the sense that annually the local import bill for pharma is between $650 to $750 million. Of this, at least half of it goes into state, and Sri Lanka provides free health. The government of Sri Lanka provides free health to all its citizens. So that in itself is a large bill. But what you're also looking at is beyond that $750 million. You're looking at the potential of $1 billion plus in terms of an independent export vertical. With this, there will be an upgradation of skills, there'll be technology transfer, a lot of direct and indirect employment that is created. So all the benefits of FDI. And with this in mind, the budget has also introduced tax concessions under the Strategic Development Act for a maximum of 10 years, which include very significant fiscal benefits. So without doubt, this is a focus sector, and it's a very lucrative focus sector for anybody looking to get into in Sri Lanka in the next year or so. We strongly encourage you to take a look and reach out to us if you have any interest in investing in pharma. Next up, you will see, I'll start with the rubber. So Sri Lanka is fast becoming what might be called the tire capital or the solid tire capital of South Asia. We have, as you see, we have about $1 billion of exports, which are looking to be, I mean, the long-term vision is to double this value. And there are a number of, again, initiatives that have been taken in terms of agriculture to provide the base for rubber. So you will see, for example, we are looking at increasing the yield from 775, let's say 800 kilograms per hectare to over 1,000, to basically double. So one of the incentives that's been introduced by the budget is a 5-year tax exemption for agriculture, including farming. Now, what I'm trying to show is there is a concentrated effort here again to recognize the verticals that need to be developed and how we are going to double this yield. So there again, what you see is there is opportunity for someone to be, and this is more for, I would say we have, if you take the top 10 manufacturers in the world, in terms of, let's say, the tire and related industry, we have at least 8 of them. So if you want to be part of that elite manufacturing bracket, this is an opportunity. Likewise, in terms of IT, we have proposed, you will notice in 3 different parts of the country, where again, the population is quite high and the educated population is high. The graduate population is high. There again, there's a growth vertical from about circa $1.2 to $1.5 billion at present to a $5 billion end game. Employment to grow significantly and to develop what we call niche areas of expertise. Now, we recently welcomed one of India's tech giants, HCL, into Sri Lanka early this year. And HCL expanded their business model 3 times within the space of this year, simply because they understood the value that you access when you enter Sri Lanka. So from what was intended to be a basic 500-seat operation, it increased to 1,500. And now they're looking at 3,000 to 5,000 seats in, let's say, 5 to 7 years. And the reason is the depth of the talent pool here. Now, so there again, this is a sector with a lot of problems.
Beyefendi, konuşmanızı toparlayabilir misiniz? Çünkü süreyi çok açtık. Diğerlerine hiç zaman bırakmadık yani. Evet, devam edebilirsiniz. Ama süreyi çok açtık. Toparlayarsanız iyi olur.
Yeah, understood. So the other 2 sectors in agri-processing and aquaculture, and this is some. These are again Sri Lanka being the kind of country that it is with the natural resources that it has, as well as the aquatic resources, provides a lot of opportunity for investment in any of these if interest is available. And this, I won't really dwell on the tax structure because I shared with you some of the incentives that are very specific and that are very new, that are specific to the target sectors that we want to promote. But you will see that if, just take a look at the chart on the left, you will see at our concessionary corporate income tax rate, we are well below competing averages from other countries. Apart from that, we have a very strict intellectual property regime, and we abide by all international covenants when it comes to both transferring your money into Sri Lanka as well as repatriating your earnings, fees, capital. We are it's a very free and open window, both for inward investment as well as repatriation. These are some details on investing in the manufacturing sector, and but I'm sure the organizers will make the presentation available to you so you can go through this at leisure, and you could reach out to me or any of my colleagues in order to clarify any of the specificities of the incentives offered. So on behalf of the Board of Investment, I would like to thank the organizers for this opportunity. And my apologies for the technical hitch at the beginning, but we remain at your service to reach out to us and clarify anything, not only in the presentation, but any other queries that you may have as well. Thanks again. Good day to everyone.
Pirsana'ya da çok teşekkür ederim. Sri Lanka Yatırım Kulübü Direktörü. Şu anda sözü Sayın Düşhan'a vermek istiyorum. Sri Lanka Turizm Promosyon Ajans Direktörü. Lakin sürelerimiz 5'er dakikadır. Biz şu anda süreyi çok aşmıştık. 15 dakika aştık. Buyurun beyefendi. Sayın Düşhan.
Your Excellencies, can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me?
Buyuruz.
Yes.
Yeah. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests and participants, on behalf of Sri Lanka Tourism, I'd like to thank the organizers for giving us this opportunity to say a few words in this investment forum. I think this sort of investment forum is really great to be connected with industry and also to share information at a time the entire world is faced with a global pandemic. But this pandemic has not changed the Sri Lanka's hospitality or the service proposition or the product offerings or the unique characteristics of this island nation. Over the last 5 years, we have seen year-on-year growth in tourist arrivals to Sri Lanka. The highest was recorded in 2018, which was the number of arrivals was 2.3 million, of which 4.4 4,263 from Turkey. Even though this is not a big number, it's encouraging to note that tourist arrivals from Turkey has been increasing. In 2019, when Sri Lanka was faced with an unfortunate incident, the Easter Sunday attack in April, when the tourist arrivals to the country was low, we saw a significant growth. It's about 16% growth in Turkish arrivals to Sri Lanka. So this is a very encouraging number to know that Turkish travelers are still seeing Sri Lanka as a great holiday destination. And that's not all. For Sri Lanka, Turkey is an important emerging market, and we need to continue to grow the market. And one other important point is in 2019, we saw a significant increase in Sri Lankan tourists visiting Turkey. So which is actually a win-win situation for both countries to grow the tourism industries in our countries. In terms of connectivity, Sri Lanka is well connected to Turkey. Pre-COVID, Turkish Airlines had direct connections from Istanbul, and then also Emirates and Qatar had good connections. So hopefully this will improve and enhance, and there'll be great connectivity in the coming months. As you know, Sri Lanka is not a mass tourism destination, meaning we don't have 15 or 20 million tourists arriving in Sri Lanka like our competing nations or our neighbors. But because Sri Lanka is compact, but it's a compact island. But within this compact island, there's a lot of diversity. It's not only sun, sea, and sand, you see. There is nature, there is wildlife, there is adventure, food, all year round festivals, and more importantly, we have 2,500-year-old culture. So with all that, and also, I think Sri Lanka is the only country in the world where you see the biggest mammal on land, which is the elephant, and the biggest mammal in the sea, which is the blue whale. You can see them all in their own habitat within close proximity to each other. And we have been actually, during this lockdown period, we have been carrying out campaigns of this nature. I think you may have seen live wildlife streaming sessions where we showcased our national wildlife in our national parks. And I think the Ambassador Hassan has been promoting that actively in Turkey. And we will continue. Well, our next session is going to be on whale watching, live streaming of whale watching, and we will continue with similar activities to showcase our destination. Of course, the pandemic has impacted us very badly. There had been a negative tripling effect on the entire tourism economy. But we are strong and resilient. But we will bounce back. And I'm saying that because our situation, COVID-19 situation, is well managed by the government of Sri Lanka. There's very effective contact tracing undertaken by our security forces, headed by the Army Commander. So far, our death rate has been very low. It's very unfortunate, of course, to have any death, but I'm saying that because there were about 66, I think as of yesterday, there were 66 deaths due to COVID-19, which is a number which is very low in comparison to other destinations. The reason I'm saying that is to highlight how well our health authorities have managed the situation in Sri Lanka. And this has been acknowledged by some of the world bodies as well. I'm not sure whether you have heard of WTTC, which is the World Travel and Tourism Council. They have endorsed Sri Lanka with a health and safety stamp. So, and also another government, German government authority has endorsed Sri Lanka with the similar stamp. So, and also at this time we are ensuring that our hotels and every tourism associated body is compliant with WHO COVID-19 protocols, and we have engaged KPMG to certify all our hotels to ensure that they comply with UNWTO protocols. So this has been an ongoing process, and this is done just to ensure the safety of not only the locals, but also the tourists expected to visit Sri Lanka. If you're coming to Sri Lanka, you need to apply for your visa online, and now we have developed an app linked to the online visa system, where you have to include all your details, including where you're staying, where you're planning on going, and it will be monitored for the first 14 days to ensure your safety, so that that app will have access to not only certified hotels, but other tourist attractions within where you're staying, and also access to health services, so that you can easily contact people if you need any support. And also the health authorities will be accessible through this app. And of course, airport opening is not confirmed. Date is not confirmed yet. I'm not sure whether it's going to be end of this year or early next year. That's a decision to be taken by the health authorities along with the COVID task force. So, however, once the airport is opened, the first priority will be given to Sri Lankans overseas. Apparently there are about 50,000 Sri Lankans who are in other countries who want to visit Sri Lanka, who wants to return. So first priority will be given to the Sri Lankans, and then it will be followed by tourists. The borders will be open for the tourists. But of course, it's a decision to be made by health authorities, taking into consideration the situation in Sri Lanka as well as the situation in our target markets, or the main markets where the tourists are coming from to Sri Lanka. In terms of investments, Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, which is the regulator, has a division set up, which is the Investor Relations Unit, which manages all the investments. So what they have done is they have brought together all the stakeholders in order to approve tourism-related projects. So if you're an investor, you don't have to go to different line agencies in Sri Lanka. It's a one-stop unit where you come and complete an application, and you highlight what you want to invest in, and then they do the work for you. They will do all the processing for you within under one roof. So in terms of what's there, now this particular unit, Investor Relations Unit within Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, has so far facilitated 42 projects in 2020 worth 720 million. And there are so many different projects you can get involved in or invest in. If you're interested in building hotels or resorts, one area where there are islands available is Kalpitia, which is in the northwestern province. Kalpitia is a tourism hotspot, which is popular for whale watching, and also for whale watching and kite surfing. So there are 14 islands altogether, of which 4 are still available for long-term investments if you wish to build any exclusive resorts. And also Kuchaveli, which is in the eastern province of Sri Lanka. They have about 200 acres, of which they are giving 9-acre blocks for long-term lease for investments, and this is in the coastal line of Sri Lanka. So these are investments in building hotels. And in addition to that, there are so many other opportunities if you wish to invest in Sri Lanka. It could be theme parks, it could be adventure activities, and the list goes on. And I don't have the list with me right now, but I can, of course, if anyone is interested, I can share it through the Sri Lankan embassy in Turkey. So with that, I know I'm running out of time, but last but not least, I'd like to take this opportunity to to inform whether you're an investor or whether you're a tourist who want to visit Sri Lanka. So I want to let you know that our borders will be open very soon, and we will welcome you with our open arms, and our unique characteristics have not changed, as I mentioned before. So we look forward to seeing you in the near future. And that concludes. And over to you, Your Excellency.
Çok teşekkür ederim Sayın Düşah, Sri Lanka Turizm Promosyon Ajans Direktörü. Ben şu anda sözü Sayın Çağatay Özden, Ticaret Bakanlığı Güney Asya Ülkeleri Daire Başkanlığı'na veriyorum. Buyurun Sayın Çağatay Bey.
Sayın Başkanım, çok teşekkür ediyorum. Konuşmamı müsaadenizle İngilizce yapacağım. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, as we have already run out our time, my presentation will be very, very short. I will pass the key points, and if anyone interested in my presentation, I will be pleased to share with you. Just let me share the presentation. Okay. My colleagues have already mentioned about the bilateral trade volume, but the key point here is that actually after 2018, there is a decline tendency in our bilateral trade volume. Actually, when we compare to 2018 and 19, we see 15.4% decrease in the trade volume, and you can see the tendency is still continuing for the first 9 months of the years. Actually, when we look at what Turkey sells to Sri Lanka, we see that almost these 5 product groups actually constituted 38% of our exports. And when we look at what Sri Lanka sells to us, we see that 83% of these 5 product groups you see on the screen makes the import side of Sri Lanka. So actually, it is very interesting because these figures indicate a very, very high level of product dependency, which is a very important problem for us. The next slide shows a special study of ours. Actually, when we look at our trade on the basis of the products and the companies, we see that only 19 companies exported and 23 companies imported more than 1 million worth of goods. So the number of the companies involved in bilateral trade are very limited in terms of their trade volumes and the numbers. And another interesting point is that between 2015 to 2019, only 111 companies managed to export for every year. This is something related to sustainability of the companies. And on the import side, this number is only 86. I would like to share with you a special study again. This study, the methodology of this study is based on International Trade Center. You can see here untapped product potential for exports from Turkey to Sri Lanka. As you can see here, there are 20 products listed here, and that products untapped potential amounts to $52.3 million. So no one have benefited from this untapped potential. when we look at the untapped potential to import from Sri Lanka, again, 20 products you can see here, $50.8 million worth of products exist here. So just as an example, the number one item, solid cushion tires, actually have an untapped potential worth of more than $11 million. When we look at our bilateral investment level, actually, according to our records, there are 10 Sri Lankan companies in Turkey, but no foreign direct investment has come to Turkey yet. At least can be seen in our balance of payment records, of course. And there are 7 Turkish companies operating in Sri Lanka. And maybe if I need to name them, Turkish Airlines, Beko, Beta Food Industry, and Seyhan Mamut Tea. When we look at the reasons to invest in Turkey, we see that actually we offer numerous investment opportunities and attracts investors from all over the world. Actually, I will give these 10 reasons one by one, but as we have very limited time, just the main points I will emphasize. Here, I think, underline the development of Turkey's GDP at purchasing power parity from 2003 to 2019. You can see the list in the former year. Turkey ranks 18 in the list, but in 2019 she jumped to 13 in the rankings, and the average annual GDP growth was 5.3 between 2003 to 2018. Turkish economy has more than tripled over the past 16 years and is promising more growth in the future. You can see the contribution of exports to GDP, actually 27% in 2019. Turkey's economic growth actually has paved the way for emergence of a sizable middle class with an increasing purchasing power. Our income per capita in 2018 was approximately $28,000 at purchasing power parity. This is quite impressive when you compare the increase with 2002. There are 24 urban centers with populations over 1 million, actually. You know the total population is 83 million. When you invest in Turkey, you do not only reach to only 83 million population, but also will have access to more than 5 million European market by means of the custom union with the European Union, of course. One important point here is that actually Turkey has one of the largest network of free trade agreements in the world. We have right now 21 FTA in force. If I need to name some of them, for example, EFTA countries, FTA with Malaysia, South Korea, Singapore, Venezuela, Chile, Egypt, Israel, Albania, and so on. Actually, 3 more FTAs are also set to be ratified soon. These are Qatar, Lebanon, and Sudan FTAs. And we have been recently in active negotiations with United Kingdom, Indonesia, Ukraine, Thailand, and Japan. Actually, when we sum all these geographies that you can reach via Turkey, it makes approximately 1 billion people with relatively high income level. This is very big opportunity, I think, in terms of the potential investors. Turkey, you know, strategic location actually enables us to reach markets across 16 different time zones, from Tokyo to New York. Also, Turkish Airlines connects you more than 323 destinations in 127 countries. This is very important easiness for the businessmen that travels very frequently. Also, Turkey is a manufacturing and export hub for multinationals, as well as the management hub for multinationals, of course. Maybe to give some examples, Toyota, you know, the company, the brand, actually was established in Turkey and exporting 85% of its production from Turkey to the world. Also, Ford company with its domestic facilities in Turkey exporting 77% of its production, again from Turkey. And also Nestle has a very strong production base in Turkey mainly for MENA countries. And Hugo Boss, you know, in textile sector, has the largest production facility worldwide in Turkey. When we look at Turkey's education system, actually it has been upgraded to support a very skilled labor pool that meets business requirements. I don't want to go into details, but the labor cost per hour in manufacturing is very, very low in Turkey. Another reason that potential investors may choose Turkey is the reforms actually in many areas realized by the government. Actually, these reforms still continues to introduce new reforms. Actually, this sweeping reform process was started back in the early 2000s and is still continuing. You can see some few examples of the reforms related to promotion of foreign investments. And you know, when we look at the ease of doing business, Turkey actually today the average number of days to set up a company here in Turkey is reduced to on average 6.5. It is quite lower than many countries like Russia, Japan, Poland, India, etc. And as a result of recent improvements in business regulations, Turkey has actually achieved a remarkable increase in World Bank's ease of doing business ranking, jumping to 43rd place among the 190 countries. This is also, I think, important indicator. In order to guarantee a business-friendly environment for foreign investors, Turkey signed a bilateral investment protection treaties with 82 countries, but unfortunately, Sri Lanka has not been included to this list, but the parties are still negotiating very actively, and we hope to finish this treatment in the next year. Actually, we have also treaties to avoid double taxation with 86 countries. When we look at the incentives offered by Turkey for the investors, actually they are applicable both for greenfield and brownfield projects. We offer a comprehensive investment incentive program with a wide range of instruments, and we can easily say that Turkey applies one of the most competitive investment incentive regimes in emerging markets. So far, 333 incentive certificates issued for international investors, which worth $42.5 billion actually. And these investment actually has created more than 22,000 people. Actually, the interested parties can find many information about the investment incentives in Turkey. You know, there is a very dedicated investment office of the Presidency of the Republic of Turkey. So you can see here the links, related links. And when you look at the sectors that we can cooperate or foreign investors, maybe Sri Lankan companies can invest, actually Turkey offers abundant opportunities in a variety of sectors, including automotive, machinery, electrical equipments, aerospace, defense industry, energy, agro-food, infrastructure, and finance. And to sum up, actually, I want to give the foreign direct investment figures that Turkey has attracted so far. Actually, there are 74 countries operating in Turkey with more than $217 billion worth of investment. This is very important, and the tendency is increasing. I hope in the future more Sri Lankan direct investment will come to Turkey and vice versa, of course, so that we can base our bilateral economic and trade relations on a more healthy base. That's the end of my presentation. I'm so sorry I was under pressure of sticking to the time, but if any party would like to take my presentation, I would be very pleased to share it with you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Çağatay Bey, çok teşekkür ederiz. Dilinize sağlık.
Teşekkür ederim başkanım.
Değerli katılımcılar, toplantıya katıldığınız için hepinize teşekkür ediyorum. Katılımcılar sektörel konulardaki görüşmeleri yapmak üzere kayıt oldukları odalara davet ediyorum. Tekrar herkese ve emeği geçenlere teşekkür ediyorum.
Thank you, Bashir. Thank you, Bashir. Thank you, ambassadors. Ambassador Demet and EDB, Prasanjit. Thank you. Thank you, Çağatay. Thank you, Dushan. Very good presentations. And also, DEİK President Ms. Nail Opak. We hope to you again. And in fact, we have ran out half an hour. We have taken from this sectoral networking. There are questions because I saw so many questions on that. Some questions we will come back to you very soon. Please, we'll give the floor to the sectoral. They are waiting, so long. Thank you. Thank you once again, everybody.
Ben de kendi adıma katılan herkese çok teşekkür etmek istiyorum. Nail Bey, katıldığınız için çok teşekkürler. Her zaman çok faydalı oluyor bu toplantılar. Bundan sonra da inşallah daha etkili bir şekilde ilgili taraflar arasında iletişimi sağlamaya devam edeceğiz. Çok sağ olun.
Sayın Büyükelçilerim, sizlerin katılımınız bize güç veriyor. Teşekkür ederiz. Çağatay Bey de bakanlığımızdan katıldılar. Elbette bu süreçte en büyük destekçilerimiz sizlersiniz. Bize teşekkür ediyoruz.